Oh, hello there. In a period where a country qualifies for the World Cup, it is important, or the onus lies on the people in the country to amass numbers in terms of support to help the country get closer to the trophy, if not win it. It's why we have this show for you, the World Cup Central, to give you in-depth analysis, not only that, but also show you that path to get to the host country. This time, it's the United States of America, Mexico, and Canada. Welcome. I am Bernard Abegoche. I'll go for a quick break. When I return back in studio, I'll be introducing you to my guest. We'll set the ball rolling. This is the World Cup Central. Oh, you're welcome back on the show. This is the World Cup Central. I am Bernard Abegoche. I won't be doing the show alone. Of course, I have to let you know who we have in our studio today. So we have diplomats from the U.S Embassy with me here in the studio. And of course, we've gotten the Public Affairs Officer, Matthew Asada, with me here. Matthew, how are you?
Great, thank you for having us today.
That's great. So that's Matthew. Then the Consul General as well, Elliot Fettick, with me in the studio. Elliot, how are you doing?
Hi, Bernard. How are you doing?
I'm a miracle. Great to have you here.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Awesome. Now, we go to Jude Duncan. He's my colleague. We do this together. Jude will paint a clearer picture in terms of numbers and graphics. So let us understand what we have to expect in the World Cup. Hi, Judy. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Bernard. It's always fun to be here, like we do every Friday, where we get to bring you the latest updates, the trends, some fun facts as to what to expect at what it's or promises to be the biggest World Cup ever held. And I'm referring to the 2026 FIFA World Cup, which is being hosted in Canada, the USA, and Mexico. Like we've been doing for the past couple of weeks, we've been shedding the spotlights on some of the host country. And today, for this week's edition, is the 10 for Canada. Yes, Canada will be hosting some of the games. Let me see, 2 of their cities will be where the center stage would also be taking place. And I want to share with you some interesting facts about Canada's role in this year's FIFA World Cup. So, as you could see on my screen, it's the largest FIFA World Cup ever to be held. 3 nations, big nations, I must say, coming together, putting together the resources to make sure fans across the globe get an experience of a lifetime. So it's a much expanded competition, 48 teams like we know, 104 games, never seen before. So clearly an unmatched experience, and we are looking forward to it. And of course, in Canada, the 2 host cities, Vancouver, which borders the United States, Seattle is the next city in the United States that borders Canada. Vancouver, I think the province is British Columbia, but the city is Vancouver. They'll be hosting the game at the FIFA World Cup. And of course, Toronto, we know them for basketball reasons, but guess what? Because they have the Toronto Raptors, right? But for football reasons this year at the World Cup, they are going to be one of the 2 host cities at or for the FIFA World Cup in Canada. So Vancouver, Toronto there. And like we all know, the Canadian national team, right, they are part of the CONCACAF region and their first FIFA World Cup. So unlike Mexico and the US that have some kind of wealth of experience as far as the FIFA World Cup is concerned, for the Canadian men national team, truth is you usually associate them with hockey more, right? But they also have some World Cup history, just not as much as the US and Mexico do. So their first FIFA World Cup was in the year 1986, relatively quite recent compared to Mexico and the US. And their last appearance was at the very last edition, the 2022 FIFA World Cup. Now, for their CONCACAF region, their best finishes, winning the competition, although not quite frequently, but they did win it in the year 2000. And as things stand now, a lot has changed for Canadian football, coming through the shadows in their region. Now they are the 30th best placed team on the FIFA rankings. That's quite impressive considering their previous rankings, right? So clearly they come into this competition with some pedigree. So there's the 36-year climb to the world stage from 1986 up onto 2026. There were many years in between where they did not make the competition at all. So they've been waiting a long time to be able to do this. Now let's come to some of the key players who will be trying to make things work for this Canadian team, right? Alphonso Davies needs no introduction whatsoever. He's been a star for many years at Bayern Munich. He'll be coming into this competition as captain for the Canadian national team and will be hoping to make it work for them. one of North America's biggest global stars, known for his explosive pace and also his dribbling ability on the flank. So he's coming into this competition with some experience, and the Canadians will be counting on him to be able to guide them through the competition. Jonathan David, he's their star striker, and he's been scoring a lot of goals for them. They'll be also counting on him as well. There's also Tajon Buchanan, right? And he is a creative winger, you know, known for his pacey play down the flanks, and they'll be counting on him as well. And finally, I'll end with Steven Estacio, who is a midfielder and also a playmaker. So clearly, promises to be fun, like I said. The only twist for some fans down here would have to be the weather, right? You can't talk about Canada and not talk about their weather. So estimates suggest that in Toronto, for example, thankfully there will be some heat, hopefully, as the competition comes up. And we are expecting much cooler temperatures, one that is not really extreme, so fans can have a competition of a lifetime. I just want to end with some other interesting facts we know about the Canadian national team, right? So the women's national team hosted a 2015 edition of the FIFA Women's World Cup, and clearly, by all indications, the experiences were quite visible for everybody to see. So they come into this competition with some expertise as far as hosting FIFA competitions, you know, are concerned, and we'll be looking forward to a really exciting competition in the United States of America, Canada, and Mexico. Abeku.
Thank you very much, Jude. Jude Duncan, my colleague here, and he explains details of what we are to expect in this all-important World Cup. Well, as part of that, he mentions Canada. There's a U.S. as well. We've gotten about 11 cities that will be, you know, hosting certain games of this all-important World Cup. 104 matches in total. Now, let me start with you, Matthew. I mean, the last time we met at the American Spaces at the Embassy, it was important that you were hopeful of the draw, and you're hoping to get Ghana USA because of the history and the beautiful stuff it brought, you know, for fans. You see the group that America is in. It's gotten Panama, it's gotten Australia, it's gotten Turkey as well. Do you see that as an easy group for America, for example? I mean, if you're a fan of America and you're going to this World Cup, look, there's no Ghana. I've gotten, you know, a fair idea of a group that we can do magic with.
Well, thanks for having us first on your show, and it's great to see you here again. And I think that what you just started with, talking about how big and how vast this tournament is something that's really exciting for us. The United States to be able to co-host with Canada and Mexico, some of our closest partners. Again, that we have 11 cities in the United States that are hosting alongside Vancouver, Toronto, Mexico City, Guadalajara. It's just really exciting. And when you talk about like our group, I mean, again, you're the soccer expert or the football expert here, but I think we have a really good group in the United States. Has a good chance here with some of the folks that we're playing. I know we're really excited for some of the things that we're doing with, you know, Australia, for instance, to be coming up against them. But one of the things I just want to say is that we're really excited about everything that the United States has done to prepare for the tournament that's taking place here in less than 1 month. And that means preparing for the tournament not only in the United States, but also here in Ghana. And what you mentioned about the American Center program, this is just one of the things that we've been doing over the last 11 months. So for the last 11 months, we've been focusing on those 11 host cities to share a little bit about what American football culture is like, what our food culture is like, what our arts are like, because we know that this World Cup is not just about the football or not just about the soccer. It's about the culture, it's about the commerce, and it's about the people 100%. That are bringing the atmosphere.
That's interesting. Now, that gives us an unprecedented surge in visa applications, right? Elliot, I mean, you look at that stream. How is the embassy dealing with that?
So, as Matthew said, I mean, we view the World Cup being hosted in the United States along with our partners in Canada and Mexico as an unprecedented opportunity to show our country. And you know, this is the 250th anniversary of our country, Freedom 250, and we are very excited to give people from around the world, including from Ghana, a chance to come and see all the things that our country has to offer. And because of that, the U.S. government made the decision that we actually added additional resources to the U.S. Embassy here in Ghana. And those resources have led to an unprecedented reduction in the wait time for getting an appointment for a visa. So, it's gone from years to months, and now it's really, the wait time is down to weeks. And that's, in fact, right now it is the lowest wait time we've had since the pandemic. And that has enabled us to really set records in terms of the number of visa applicants we've been able to see. And we're really excited that we've been able to talk to so many Ghanaians and see about their, give people opportunities to travel to the United States.
Oh, it's interesting then again to know that I've heard some Ghanaians say they've been refused visas, for example. What are some of the issues?
Well, all of that, what I said, is true. But of course, as Secretary Rubio has said, the standard for a qualifying visa has not changed. And to qualify for a visa, the applicant must show that they have strong enough ties to Ghana that they will return to the United States after a short, return to Ghana after a short visit to the United States. And that is, every applicant has to show that in order to qualify for the visa. But what I can tell you is that, as I said, the standard is exactly the same for an applicant who says they're going to the World Cup as they are for anyone else. And we don't have any quotas. Every decision is made by the officer at the window based on the individual characteristics and what the applicant says during the interview. So, there are many, many people who have gotten their visas, or some of them already have visas, and they're traveling to the United States to experience the excitement of the World Cup. And I'm really proud of the part that the embassy is playing in that effort.
Well, that said means a lot of people are going to get that opportunity to go to the States to watch the World Cup. There are going to be millions of visitors coming in. How is the U.S. going to deal with that, for example?
Well, one of the things that, as Melliot mentioned, what we've done is insurging these officers around the world to ensure that every person that is interested in going to the World Cup, that has a ticket, is able to get a visa appointment. So that's the first step, just making sure those visa appointments are available. The thing that we've been doing here in Ghana that I'm very proud of is working with all of their Ghanaian stakeholders. So that's the government of Ghana, that's the Ministry of Tourism, Culture, and the Creative Arts, the Ghana Tourism Authority. All these folks that are interested in going to the United States to also use the opportunity to explain and tell the world a little bit about Ghanaian culture, because that is something that is very important, again, for our bilateral relationship. The United States and Ghana have such a close relationship that is built and strengthened through these people-to-people ties, that one of the priorities for us has been to ensure that Ghana is able to send their cultural delegation, that they're able to send their commercial delegation, because this administration, the United States, the Trump administration, is very keen on ensuring that we're using these opportunities also to do business. And again, to build better commercial ties between the United States and Ghana. And so what we've been doing over the last year is meeting with our Ghanaian partners, talking to the stakeholders to ensure that we're able to make plans for, again, obviously the team to get there and the fans and everyone else, but it's the cultural program and the commercial program that are also very important.
Oh, that's again important, but I've heard issues of people wanting to overstay, right? I think Elliot, you are in the right position to give us answers to that. What are the rudiments around, people? You've got a visa to go for the World Cup. You have a time limit that you should return.
Yes.
But people who want to use this opportunity to overstay, what's the whole?
Well, you're absolutely right to say that, unfortunately, there are some people who think they can use this as an opportunity to overstay or just to illegally stay in the United States. And that's really unfortunate, because honestly, not only are they breaking the law, but they're also making it harder for other Ghanaians.
True.
Because if we do pay attention to how many people from a given country overstay. And the higher that rate, frankly, the harder it is sometimes to be able to to give visas and to facilitate the level of travel that we want to. So I would say that someone who's thinking about overstaying in the United States, you're breaking the law.
Yeah.
you are engaging in you're in illegal work, and you're making it harder for other Ghanaians as well. So I think that I think, and one thing I would like to say is that we've been trying to get this message out that illegal immigration, overstaying, is just not worth the risk. This administration takes this extremely seriously. I think anyone who's been paying attention to the news knows that there has been a crackdown on people staying in the U.S. illegally, and that they've made it clear there is a zero tolerance policy for breaking our immigration laws. And people who go there and think, well, I can just stay and I can do, it won't be a problem. It will be a problem, and more and more people are caught and they're deported because they don't respect the laws. But for people who do respect the laws, for people who, when you get a visa, you go to the United States at the border, you'll be given a certain amount of time that you can stay. And if you don't overstay and you come back, not only are you obviously experiencing the rich heritage and all of the other experiences you can have in the United States, but you're also really making it easier for other Ghanaians and to keep the very strong bilateral relationship we have with the United States going. So I think that it's not just if you're thinking of breaking, this is like anyone else. If you break the law, you're not just affecting yourself. You're affecting your community. You're affecting your family. So it's just not worth it.
Great.
And I think I'd like to just add here, it's been really important. We've really appreciated what the government of Ghana has done to underscore this message, whether it's Foreign Minister Ablakwa or the President John Dramani Mahama in the State of the Nation. Encouraging folks to go and enjoy and see America, but then come back. Come back to Ghana. And I think what we heard too from the sports minister when we've been meeting with him is that Ghana is very interested in learning the lessons about hosting these big events, because we know that Ghana has ambitions too to do things in the future here.
100%.
And there's a lot of stuff that goes into hosting the World Cup. We're excited about the World Cup in 26.
100%.
We're excited about the Olympics in 28.
100%.
All of this is an experience that Ghanaians can go and then bring back here to think about how they can improve some of the sporting infrastructure that's required to be able to host some of these big events in the future.
Oh, that's so solid, I must say. But the issue of World Cup visa scams, fraudulent advertisement, people promising people, look, I can facilitate this process. I mean, what's the use?
I'm so glad you mentioned that, Bernard, because this is something I feel very passionate about, and I feel awful that so many Ghanaians, unfortunately, have fallen victim to these scams. We get people all the time who tell them to the embassy and they say, I thought I had an appointment, or I thought I was guaranteed a visa. Well, no one can guarantee you a visa. No, the only way you can get an appointment is through our regular appointment system. People who say they have an inside track or they know someone in the embassy, it's just not true. You may remember about more than 10 years ago, there was even a fake U.S. Embassy, and a lot of people lost a lot of money. And I want to say that two things. First, if something sounds too good to be true, it probably is. If someone tells you, I can guarantee you a visa, use your common sense. That is not true. And if you do fall the victim of a scam, please report it either to the Ghanaian police or to the U.S. Embassy. And the second thing I wanted to say is we were talking earlier about the cooperation between the Ghanaian government and our embassy in facilitating travel. And another area where we've really seen good cooperation is in investigating and prosecuting the scammers.
Great.
I really want to say we've had a very good cooperation from the Ghanaian police and from the Ghanaian government in tracking down and identifying people who are ripping off ordinary Ghanaians. And I know of many cases where those people have been sent to court and been held accountable for what they did.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Matthew, I mean, for you, someone comes for a visa interview, is not able to express himself. And it's a question I want you to throw more light on. I'll come back to you earlier. But I mean, it's important again to know that I didn't get the visa, but I get an opportunity to watch the World Cup. Is the embassy raising things like watch parties and all of that to help fans still enjoy that experience that America has to offer?
Yeah, no, I really appreciate that, because as I mentioned, we've been doing for the last year programming here at our American Center or American Spaces in Kumasi or Nagbogba in the run-up to the Cup. We're obviously going to be doing things in the United States during those matches, but I'm also very excited about what we're doing here, partnering with, again, the Ghana Tourism Authority on their 16 by 16 initiative. We'll be doing watch parties in all 16 different regions.
Wow.
And the United States is working with them on 3. We're going to do one in Accra, we'll do one in Cape Coast, we're doing one in Tamale.
Okay.
And these are opportunities for Ghanaians to come out and watch and see how the United States, the men's national team, does. And our match in Tamale will actually be even to see the Black Stars and how they play versus Croatia in Philadelphia. So we have a lot of activities here in Ghana that are taking place. And I know it's just not the United States. You had Canada up here earlier, we're working with Mexico. All of those participating countries. Remember, we have 48 countries this time around. I know a lot of those embassies are thinking about, hey, what can they do to organize a little watch party here or there?
Well, great. So it's 48 countries now. Large World Cup. What's the preparation like for the United States?
Well, fortunately, again, with FIFA taking on the organization of the big tournament, we're in one good place. But the United States, again, 11 different cities, right?
Yeah.
And again, these are different regions of the country, the West Coast, the East Coast, South, Midwest, all of these are captured. But what we, the United States government, have been very focused on is ensuring that we have the safety, the security, the infrastructure set up, and then those host cities, each host city is taking a look at, hey, what is their cultural offering? What's their commercial plan? How are they going to receive the visitors that are coming for the matches? And so the U.S. government, again, working at the national level, ensuring that we have the visas, the State Department, we're doing everything with our diplomatic relations, and then we have the security in place for these events. That's something that we're doing at the national level, and then working with the states and the cities to ensure that they're ready as well.
Oh, that's excellent. But for those who've gotten their match tickets, they're waiting for their interviews. What common mistakes should they avoid?
Well, first, let me just mention that you mentioned people who have match tickets.
Yeah.
I did want to mention that, you know, if you have the actual ticket, there is a process that you can use to get an expedited appointment, and it's called FIFA Pass.
Okay.
And we've actually set aside many appointments for people who are using this specific system. And so I would encourage someone, if they have the ticket, they can register to use FIFA Pass and go online, and then you just Google it, and there's a pretty clear procedure on how you can use that to really make sure you get an appointment. But you were mentioning about appointments, and I know I just want to say I know that for a lot of people, coming to the embassy for a visa appointment is a nerve-wracking experience.
Absolutely.
People think that there's a certain magic formula, or that that somehow there's a quota, or that some officers are going to be meaner than others. And also, but I think our officers also are, we're human beings, and we know that people in front of us, it's a nerve-wracking experience. You wait an hour or something, or usually less, but sometimes, and the interview is, without question, short. It's 2 or 3 minutes. So what I'd like to tell people is give a few tips about what can they do to be ready for the interview, and really be able to put their best foot forward. The important part I think there's a couple things I would say. First is that be ready to just answer a couple of basic questions. Some of the more common questions you get are things like, why do you want to go to the United States?
Okay.
What do you do here in Ghana?
Okay.
And where else have you ever traveled outside of Ghana before?
Okay.
Those are very common questions, and often the decision of the officer will be based on what you answer. The second thing that applicants should know is that for the most part, documents do not play a large role in the decision.
Oh, okay.
There's a lot of people who think they just need the right document to show to the officer and they'll get the visa.
Yeah.
The honest truth is that documents are not used very much because, unfortunately, they're not hard to get fake ones. It is not hard to go out and get something that shows almost anything.
Yeah.
So we're interested in the credibility of the person in front of us. Can you establish that you have the ties to Ghana, that you are going to come back? And in fact, the third tip and it leads into a little bit, the third tip I wanted to say, which was that tell the truth. Our officers get a lot of training in how to evaluate the credibility of the applicants. And if we find that you are not telling the truth, not only are you not going to get the visa, or that you presented fake documents, not only are you not going to get the visa, but it is possible you could have other penalties as well, up to and including a lifetime ban from entering the United States. So it's just not worth it.
That's it.
Tell the truth. lay out, explain your ties to Ghana as best you can, and even if you don't get the visa, at least you know that you've done the right thing.
Absolutely.
And also, it's important to know that if you're refused a visa, that is a decision for only that day. You always can apply again in the future if your circumstances change.
Yeah.
And there are plenty of people who perhaps applied for a visa in 1 year, and then maybe their circumstances changed. Maybe their job changed, or they've traveled extensively overseas, and then they apply maybe a couple of years later and they get the visa. So overall, I would say the three tips are: be ready to answer those questions that I mentioned.
Yeah.
Don't rely on documents, and above all, tell the truth.
Above all, you have to tell the truth to get an easy access to go observe the Mundial, one of the greatest that's about to happen here on Earth. But I'll go for a quick break. When I return back in studio, there are more questions that have been sent by you doing the watching. And you can send questions as well when they're here. We're giving you the right expertise to make sure you get to America safe and return to Ghana. That's what interests me most. This is the World Cup Central. I'll go for a quick break here. I'll return. Elliot is here, Matthew's here. We'll talk more. You're welcome. This is the World Cup Central on Channel 1 TV. I am Bernard Abekoch. We've gotten Matthew Asada with me in the studio, a diploma from the U.S Embassy, and Elliot as well with me. We've been talking about important issues that's of great interest to you, as a football fan who wants to go to the United States for the World Cup. Matthew, you talk about the experience that you create here in Ghana and in the States for the fans who are coming in to watch the World Cup. Are there specific timelines, or is it okay for Ghanaian games, or maybe for American games, or in general picking big games? We've got about 104 matches which will be happening.
Excuse me.
Sorry about that.
So we knew that we had a very high bar following Qatar's hosting of the 2022 World Cup. They did an amazing job
100%.
with the fan festivals and the experience. And so we know that our cities in the United States and Mexico and Canada are really excited about, welcoming the world.
Yeah.
And in addition, we need to create an experience here in Ghana, and for the people that may not be able to visit, or for the countries that have not qualified. And so here, we're very excited to have partnered with the Ghana Tourism Authority on their 16 by 16 initiative.
Well.
And we know that they're going to be hosting watch parties throughout the tournament in all 16 regions. We, specifically the U.S. Embassy, are going to be looking at when the United States is playing.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that we're going to be looking at the match here in Accra for the opener. On the night of the 12th, 13th.
Yeah.
We have one in Cape Coast on the 19th. And then we are going to be showing that match between Ghana and Croatia in Philadelphia on June 27th up in Tamale. But those are just a couple of the matches that we're going to be showing. And I would encourage folks to check out also the activation space at the National Sports Stadium that we've partnered there with Tribe. We actually have an area where you can learn about the United States. You can learn about our 250 years of independence.
Yeah.
You can see some of the men, women, and moments that have made American history.
Sorry about that.
And there's one other thing I'd like to flag for your listeners, and for the watchers today. Excuse me.
Oh, that's fine. It's important to know all of these details, right? Because you'd have to experience that here in Ghana. It has always been with the World Cup, and this year, the United States is doing something terrific to make sure they put the spectacles on this World Cup and give us that experience that we have been waiting for. You want to wrap up with that comment?
Well, I was just going to say that, even before the World Cup starts, today, up at the University of Ghana, we have a competition of secondary high school students that are participating in our spoken word contest.
Oh, okay.
This is the first year that we're doing it in Accra. We have about 20 high schools participating. It's our third year in Kumasi. And they're all being inspired by the theme, when the whistle blows, borders fade. And then these students are interpreting that and thinking about competition on the pitch, but how off the pitch everyone can get along and be friends, and thinking about the cultural connections. So that semifinals was happening today at the University of Ghana. The finals will be on June 5th. here in Accra, and our finals in Kumasi will be on May 20th next week at KNUST. So I encourage folks to come out and check out to see what those students are thinking about, how they're interpreting the theme, and how they're getting ready for the World Cup in less than a month.
That's super awesome. You know, when it gets to playing stats, have to try your thinking, or examine how deep you are in a certain area. It gets always super interesting. But there's a perception out there. There are many Ghanaian supporters who've been refused, visas, and there's a perception out there that securing a U.S. visa, for example, has become an extreme sport, and it's a perception. How does the embassy respond to such perceptions?
Well, I think that really just want to say that I said before, and I'll say it again. The qualifications to get a visa have not changed. We very much are excited to have lots of visitors from all around the world come to the United States for the World Cup. But nevertheless, the vetting and the security requirements for U.S. visas have not changed. I think that I know that there have been stories out there about large numbers of people being refused. I can tell you that really that there's no specific limit on the number of people who can get a visa. It really is an individualized decision. And really the rate for people who are going to the World Cup is fairly similar to just the overall rate of Ghanaians applying for visas in the United States. So I think that I would say that can I guarantee that everyone who wants to go will be able to get a visa? No, and that was not true. And no, we never said that would happen. And what we said, though, is that everyone will get a fair shot, and everyone will have a chance, as many people as we can, to come to the embassy and make an application for a visa. And I just want to say that for me, this is not just about in regulating visas and stuff. The World Cup is a really once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for our country. And I just wanted to mention, Matthew was mentioning the game in Philadelphia between Ghana and Croatia. I'm actually from Philadelphia. And in fact, it's being played in a stadium that I've gone to see games in myself, and Lincoln Financial Field. And while I'm not sure, unfortunately, I'll be able to go to the game myself, I'm really excited that Ghanaians are going to come to my hometown. Philadelphia has a long connection of. And the Philadelphia Chamber of Commerce did not pay me for this, but of course, there's a long history between Ghana and Philadelphia. Kwame Nkrumah studied there. And so this is, to me, the next chapter in the relationship, not just between America and Ghana, but in particular, many places around the United States, including Philadelphia, that have vibrant Ghanaian communities. So of course, it's not just Ghanaians coming, the Ghanaian diaspora is also going to watch these games as well. And I'm just personally excited that many different kinds of groups of people are going to have a chance to watch these games.
That's beautiful. What's the typical timeline for visa processing?
Sure. So generally speaking, if you're going to apply for a visa, the first thing I would say is the U.S. Embassy has a website, and go to the website and follow the links, and it talks about how to apply for a non-immigrant visa. And one thing I would say is that it's very important that you read carefully. The instructions are clear, but there are several steps that you need to do. And if you don't follow those steps, you can run into problems. But generally speaking, before you go there, you need to have a passport, obviously. And then there is also a form you have to fill out online. We call it the DS-160. Essentially, it's the visa application, but it's done online, and once you've filled it out, you'll have a sort of a barcode that you'll need in the process of your application. Then what you do is you make an account with our visa appointment system. You'll pay the fee, and then you'll have access our appointment calendar. And then once you do that, you'll get the day of your appointment, and you'll get a time, and you should show up and that's the time you will show up at the embassy for your visa interview.
For visitors who lose their passport in the state, is there any service available to help them in such situation?
Well, I mean, if they lose their passport, really the main thing they'll need is probably a new Ghanaian passport. And for that is the province of the Ghanaian government and the Ghanaian embassy in Washington, D.C., not the U.S. I would encourage them, if that happens, and hopefully it doesn't, to obviously report it to the police and get a police report. And then they'll have to engage with the Ghanaian embassy to get I assume to get a replacement passport. I don't know about that myself because it's really a Ghanaian government. But in terms of the visa is necessary to enter the United States.
True.
Once you have the visa and you've been admitted to the United States, you only would need a visa if you left and then tried to re-enter the United States.
Great. Matthew, you love Ghana, right?
I love Ghana. I love being here. I've been here for the last 2 years, so and exploring parts of the country and looking forward to seeing more.
That's great. I know diplomats are to remain neutral, but where do you think, for the love you have for Ghana, you look at these talents we have in the country, how far do you think they can get in your home country, the state?
Well, I don't know if I told you this before, but my first experience with Ghana was in 2006.
Yeah, you mentioned that the last time.
It was at the World Cup match when the United States was playing Ghana in Nuremberg.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we lost. So ever since then, I'm looking forward to seeing maybe a different result. But I think that the United States and Ghana being in different groups this time around, I think we are in competitive groups, both of us, so we'll have to see how far we get. But I'm really excited, and I'll be cheering on both the men's national team and Ghana's Black Stars to see how far they get, and who knows, maybe we'll meet.
Which of the games are you looking forward to? Because, you know, the state has gotten a history with Ghana. I know you mentioned the Australia bit, but for Ghana, which of the games are you looking for? Ghana, Croatia?
Well, I mean, I
because you're
think
having a party
that
fight.
it's always interesting, you know, the history here, and quite historic it'll be for Ghana and England to be playing in Boston.
Absolutely.
We talked about, you know, American independence, and obviously Boston playing a role in that as well. True. But it's going to be quite something for Ghana and England to meet there in Boston. And we were very fortunate. You know, last month we had Bryant University here.
Yeah,
Bryant University in Rhode Island
Yeah.
is going to be the team base camp for the Black Stars. And I know that Rhode Island's the smallest state in the nation. It's right next door. They're planning a lot of activities there to do during this month of celebrations. And who knows what will come out of that. But it's like really is exciting to see, you know, what cities are doing, what states are doing. And what I'm excited about, too, is that people will be changed by this experience. You know, I was changed in 2006 when I learned about Ghana, and, you know, now I'm here 20 years later. But who knows who might be going to the United States, who might have an experience, who might visit a university, who might go to Bryant University and say, hey, listen, I want to study in the United States sometime in the future. And we're very fortunate that Ghana has such great students, that Ghana sends, you know, so many students to the United States, 14th. In the world. That's because, again, we have some great students coming from Ghana. And so I'm just very excited about the people whose lives will be changed, who will have an experience, who will meet someone who may decide to become that football star, or maybe it will be our next astronaut. Who knows?
Absolutely. What are your last words, Elliot, for Ghanaians to pay attention to keywords you mentioned?
Sure. I just want to say that Matthew mentioned he's been in Ghana for 2 years. I've been here for 3 years, and actually my time is coming to a close in Ghana. And I've really enjoyed my time here. I've really enjoyed the real pleasure of getting to know ordinary Ghanaians. I sometimes say I have the best job in the embassy. And that, I know sometimes people laugh when I say that, but I get to meet more Ghanaians every day than probably a lot of my colleagues do in a month.
Yeah.
You know, and that is a really special experience for me. I get to see people from all walks of life here in Ghana, everyone, and from all parts of the country. And I've actually traveled around Ghana as part of just for my pleasure, and getting to see getting to see all the people from this wonderful country, from the north to the south to the east to the west, has been a real privilege, honestly. Yeah. And I will just say that, you know, as I get ready for my next assignment, I'm never going to forget my time here. It's been my pleasure that I've been able to contribute towards, you know, improving our relationships, making them grow closer, and really and playing my part in helping the American and the Ghanaian people draw closer together. So I've enjoyed my time here, and I really wish everyone who goes to the United States safe travels. And I know you said the diplomats were supposed to be neutral. Absolutely. Well, I am not going to be neutral. I'm going to root, unless they play the United States, I'm going to be rooting for the Black Stars.
Wow. That's great. That's great to end it. Guys, thank you very much. I love the last bit you mentioned, but I know you support Ghana as well.
Of course.
Great. Thank you very much, Elliot. Thank you very much, Matthew Asada as well. This is the World Cup Central. We'll go for a quick break in here. When we get back, we'll talk more. Hi, and welcome to World Cup Central on Channel 1 TV. I am Bernard Abeko. Earlier on, we've had an amazing discussion, with the U.S Embassy, diplomats from the U.S Embassy, who tells us, how to get into the country safely and return to Ghana. Interestingly, someone has a question. Before we get into our fun zone, our segments today, someone sent a message and is saying that, please, I want to find out if it is possible to get a visa to the United States if you've not traveled outside Ghana before. Of course, Elliot explained that you're able to get a visa to travel to the United States to watch the World Cup, depending on how you're able to clearly answer questions that he raised here when asked at the embassy. Let's get into our fun zone now and get on to Zoom. It's interesting to have one female and a gentleman here talk us through the experience about this all-important World Cup. Gabriel Mensah is on the line together with Erica Odum as well. Hi, people. How are you doing?
We are fine, Bernard.
That's important. I'm a miracle. Let's start with you, Erica. First off, Ghana qualifies to this all-important World Cup in the USA, Mexico, and Canada. First off, when you last read or watched that game that we've qualified, how was the experience for you as a Ghanaian?
The experience for me as a Ghanaian was a great one. For Ghana to be able to qualify to the World Cup back to back, because we were not able to qualify to 2018 World Cup in Russia. So qualifying to Qatar and then to Mexico, Canada, USA for the first time, 3 countries hosting it was so interesting for me. I really felt happy. But as to when we're going to perform was another thing to think about. But the feeling was one of happiness. I was so happy.
Well, hold on there. We'll talk about the games and experience and what you want to see. But I mean, it's important to come to you, Gabriel, to find out from you as well. Look, I mean, I know for the guys you are talking about experience. Charlie, now we've gotten a coach. We have to go and show up in this World Cup. The talk of Dede Ayew, importantly, not going to be part of, or whether he's going to be part or not part of this World Cup. I don't know where you stand, but for you as a fan, what has been the discussion around?
All right, for me, I think Dede should feature in the World Cup, perhaps due to his passion and his experience. And of course, we know that in 2009, he was able to, win the under-20 World Cup. So, so he has lots of experience, and the passion he brings to the game is, not questionable at all. So I think that due to his experience, he should be in there to guide the guys because he's seen it before. And I think he can do a better job if we send him to. But moving on to the experience, it was a great experience when Ghana qualified for the Mundial. Considering the fact that Otto failed to qualify for the AFCON after about 20 years. So there were doubts that, can this man even take us to the promised land? And that is the Mundial. But, he proved a lot of doubters wrong. And Ghana was able to qualify. So right now there's a new coach on board, a different tactical system. We are just hopeful and aiming about what he's going to bring on board. I mean, he has a very good CV. So let's just sit at the screens, relax, and enjoy what Keros has for us.
That's important to note. But I mean, Erica, for you, is this a group of death? You spoke about the Qatar experience and how excited you are getting, back-to-back World Cup experiences.
I think that it is going to be a very tough group for Ghana. Considering our ranking, we are the lowest ranked country in that particular group.
Yeah.
But then our chances are, honestly, even though we are Ghanaians, we would want to be progressing to the next stage of the competition. Our chances are actually limited. I feel that we don't have any chance qualifying even to the round of 32, honestly.
Wow. Those are huge statements that I asked. First game is against Panama. Panama has a coach that Otuado played against. This is a new coach in the mix, and he's gotten huge experience. Do you think we can beat Canada to set a tone?
Wow. It's going to be a very difficult one because considering the fact that we have a new coach who is Carlos Queiroz too as well, we don't, the telepathy with him and then the players is not that there. We are coming to play only Mexico before we go to the World Cup. So I don't, probably there might be a magic for us to qualify or to beat Panama in our group. Honestly, that's my honest opinion.
Gabriel, it's important to fetch this from you, finally before we move on to other important details. Look, we have already mentioned the zeal of our players and going to this all-important World Cup and making us proud. We've played a couple of friendly matches. Are you pleased with what you've seen, the talents that we have? There are a number of players. I can count about 10 of them who has their team going to relegation. But you think this base, from what we've seen from the friendlies, is enough? Or we should go beyond the wider pool, to get the right players to the World Cup? Countries have already named their 26-man squad for the World Cup.
Yeah, of course. France came in with yes yesterday, and of course, Ghana was known as the Brazil
Belgium
of African
today
football
as well.
because of her. Yes, Ghana was known as the Brazil of African football due to the great talent we have, and we still possess, some of the great talents. I always tell my people that look, when you are talking about squad value in terms of individual brilliance, Ghana. Top 5 Ghana is part because the likes of Mohamed Kudus, Antoine Semenyo making waves, at Manchester City. But I feel that, there was a different coach who was, running us through the friendly matches. But I was really impressed with the performance against Germany. But I think we do have the individual brilliance. Now it's time for the manager to bring in a whole tactics to suit the players' performance, because in terms of individual quality, we are there. So it's just about, the manager try to figure out something to help this squad, live up to their expectation. And also we should consider that we will not be going with some of our big names like Mohamed Kudus, which is a blow for us because we saw him in the 2022 World Cup where all hope was lost. He reignited the hope. So I think that these are all things which will hinder Ghana's chances and of course Ghana's progress. But it's do well to note that there are the likes of Felix Afenejan and Ashimeru, who are going to play in the Mexico qualifiers, that I think if they are able to live up to their mark, they can be injected in the squad. Because talking about Felix Afenejan, he used to play for AS Roma, where he was coached by Jose Mourinho. Jose Mourinho liked him too much. He was playing day in, day out. There was a time when he netted his first goal. Jose Mourinho bought a 800 euro boot for him. So this is a player who has, seen it at the top level, but due to injuries and due to, some unluckiness, he hasn't been there. So I feel that this particular friendly match upcoming, when giving these players, their chance, they can do something for us. So that's all I'll say in terms of the individual quality we are having now.
How many points are we getting from the group before you go?
I'm very confident. 6 points.
That's great, Gabriel. But for you, Erica, you say we can't get to the quarterfinal, but I'm sure we can get out of the group. How many points do you envisage we get from that group?
Probably 3 points. And we'll qualify as one of the 3rd best placed teams.
Thank you very much, Erica. Thank you to Gabriel as well. You guys made it, awesome how to, know the latest from what the fans have been also thinking about. This is the World Cup Central. Thank you for making time to watch the show. Guys behind the set who made the show a success, thank you to very much. I am Bernard Abekosh. We'll meet you same time next week.